Here's the tent that'll let you down, and it's usually not the cheap one. It's the familiar name riding on fiberglass poles and a rainfly that quits the first real downpour. And somehow it cost you triple. Strip away the marketing and a tent is three things: poles, fabric, and one waterproof number. Get those right, and an $80 tent outlasts a $400 one. So the price tag tells you almost nothing, which is exactly how these brands get away with it. So here are 6 tent brands to stop buying, ranked worst to first by how badly the price insults the specs. Then 3 I'd trust my own family in. Plus 4 quick checks that spot a bad tent in 10 seconds. Worst number 6 is Big Agnes. I have to give them credit. Their ultralight engineering is brilliant if you are carrying everything on your back for miles. But if you are just a weekend camper, spending $400 to $600 on a tent with 15 to 20 denier fabric and a basic 1500mm waterproof rating makes 0 sense. You are paying premium money for material, so paper thin, you can puncture it with a fingernail. It is a beautiful shelter, but you will spend your entire trip babying it instead of relaxing. You want durability for your money? But our next brand charges even more cash for nothing but badge value on the trail. Worst number 5 is the North Face. I will give them credit. Their heavy-duty mountaineering domes have real expedition history, but under VF Corporation, their everyday tents, like the Stormbreak and Wawona, are basically expensive clothing logos pitched as shelter. You are looking at paying $250 to $350 for specs that belong on a discount shelf, like a low 1,200mm fly rating on the Stormbreak. That is a 30 to 50% markup over identical poles and fabrics just to get that iconic badge stamped on your rainfly. When the sky opens up, that logo does not keep you dry. But this next corporate giant cuts corners in a way that is far more fragile. Worst number 4 is Marmot. I still respect what this brand used to be, especially since they earned their reputation on serious mountain tents. But then the corporate shuffle happened. The brand went from K2 to Jardin, and now they sit under Newell Brands, the exact same giant that owns Coleman. You can feel that cost-cutting shift. Tents like the tungsten and limestone cost around $300, but they only give you a mediocre 1,200 to 1,400mm fly rating. It seems Newell's focus drifted toward high-margin jackets, leaving their tents with average waterproofing. The rugged heritage is still on the label, but the real engineering care is gone. That is disappointing, but our next brand is a straight-up structural hazard. Worst number 3 is Naturehike. I admit their specs look tempting on paper. A cloud-up tent with 20 denier fabric for $150 seems like a massive win. But that confidence vanishes when the box actually arrives. You are dealing with inconsistent quality control and a direct-from-China buying path, which makes any warranty claim a massive support gamble. That spec sheet is a maybe, not a promise. At this halfway point, the trap is obvious. You are paying for badge value or listing value instead of dependable shelter. The next 3 brands are where that starts to flip. But first, we have to look at a design that presents a direct structural hazard. Worst number 2 is Gazelle. I get the appeal. If you are just camping in a backyard, their instant T4 and T8 hub tents pop up in under a minute. But that convenience becomes a massive liability in the backcountry. You are paying $300 to $420 for a shelter with a low 1,200mm fly rating and massive flat walls that catch wind like sails. When the storm hits, that wind pressure forces the polymer hubs to flex until they crack, collapsing the tent. If that happens, good luck, because Gazelle's parts catalog constantly lists replacement hubs as out of stock. You pay for speed, but you sacrifice storm worthiness. Our worst number 1 brand makes this look like a minor inconvenience. Worst number 1 is Coleman. Look, I will give them credit. If you just need a cheap shelter for a dry weekend in your backyard, an $80 sun dome works. But Coleman represents the biggest trust problem in camping because they rely on legacy recognition to sell subpar materials. The massive red flag is their fiberglass pole setup, which easily splinters in basic storms. To make things worse, their warranty explicitly excludes fiberglass pole breakage, so you are on your own when they shatter. They even omit waterproof ratings on most of their models, hiding thin specs behind the Newell brand's corporate umbrella. You are paying for a badge that fails to provide real weather protection, making this the ultimate example of low transparency and low confidence. Best number 3 is Eureka. This is where we stop buying marketing hype and start buying actual tents. Eureka relies on their classic timberline heritage, and under Johnson Outdoors, they still back these builds with a lifetime warranty. Instead of flimsy plastic, you get real anodized aluminum poles and thick 75 denier polyester fabrics. It is a rugged, storm-worthy shelter for under $200, which is a fraction of what those premium badge brands charge. This is what honest camping value looks like. But if you want to go even cheaper without getting soaked, our next pick completely rewrites the budget game. In second place, Decathlon's Quechua line proves that real budget value means buying a tent you can actually fix, not just one with a cheap sticker price. For around $95 to $130, you get solid specs like real 3,000mm class waterproofing and their light-blocking fresh and black coating that keeps the interior cool. But the real win is Decathlon's parts support. While a snapped pole on Gazelle's proprietary hub setup often means throwing the whole thing in the trash because replacements are chronically out of stock, Decathlon sells individual poles and fly sheets for years. A broken pole becomes a $5 repair instead of landfill waste, making this a smart, long-term investment. Best number 1 is REI Co-op, the brand that actually prints every single number they sell. While others hide behind marketing, REI anchors their lineup with the half dome and trail hut, giving you real aluminum poles, factory-taped seams, and fully published waterproofing. You get an honest spec sheet because a co-op owned by over 25 million members does not need to cheat you on details. Plus, that 1-year love it or return it guarantee makes the buy risk-free. It pays off our golden rule. A tent is just poles, fabric, and one waterproof number, and the brand printing those specs has the least to hide. Which of these tents have you taken into a storm? Let me know in the comments, and check out our teardown of budget sleeping pads. This channel follows the specs, not the sponsors. Subscribe to Stay Dry. Additionally, run these 4 quick checks whenever you are looking at a tent on the shelf or online. Check 1 is the poles. Look for DAC or Easton aluminum, and if the box says fiberglass, put it down. Check 2 is waterproofing. You need at least 1,500 millimeters of hydrostatic head on the fly and 3,000 millimeters on the floor with taped seams. Check 3 is the fabric. Look for a clear denier rating and a ripstop weave. Check 4 is ownership. Know who owns the brand now and if they will actually sell you a replacement pole in 3 years. If a tent fails these specs, the badge on the door will not save you. Across these brands, the pattern is clear. Corporate buyouts swap aluminum poles for cheap fiberglass. Don't buy logos, buy verified hydrostatic ratings. Which tent failed you in the rain? Next, we are exposing fake sleeping pad R values. This channel follows the specs, not the sponsors. Subscribe for honest gear breakdowns.